I was up until 3 in the morning, phone screen burning into my retinas, binge reading the most gloriously trashy dark romance series on the internet. What a cast of absolute psychos, I muttered to the empty room. I love it. Keep it coming. The series had just hit the big turning point. The tragic male lead, Ethan, finally kicked the bucket from cancer, and the Ice Queen protagonist, Isabella, was starting her revenge tour. First on her list were the story's villains, her manipulative surrogate little brother, Caleb, and her own personal assistant, Leo Miller. Huh, weird. That assistant has my name. I mumbled, just as the fictional Leo was being invited on a one-way deep-sea diving trip by his vengeful boss. A glance at the clock made my heart jump. What? 3:30? A wave of dizziness washed over me, a throbbing pain behind my eyes. Oh, this is not good. With a groan, I closed my eyes. I snapped them open again, surprised to find myself alive. My body felt fine, no headache, nothing. I didn't die. Okay, note to self, lay off the all-nighters. Wait a second. Where the hell am I? This isn't my apartment. Was I kidnapped? For what? My student loan debt? I scanned my surroundings, my mind racing. I was in a generic, if expensive, room. Looked like a guest bedroom. Then my brain went blank and a flood of memories that weren't mine poured in. So, I said to the silent room, my voice shaking, I'm the guy who's about to go swimming with the fishes. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. My face twisted into a pained grin as I tried to calm myself down. It hasn't happened yet. The future isn't set in stone. I can change things. Okay, time to take stock. I'm Leo Miller, personal assistant to Isabella Vance, the CEO of Vance Holdings in New York City. I'm currently in a guest room in one of her private apartments. In the story, her husband, Ethan Reed, just got diagnosed with terminal cancer. Her precious Caleb is pretending to have some tragic illness himself, whining that he wants a child to carry on his legacy before he dies. And Isabella, in a move that defies all logic, is saying, he's my brother. If I don't help him, who will? And planning to have a baby for him via IVF. Meanwhile, minor villains like me are buzzing around, about to get swatted. What kind of lunatic comes up with a plot like this? Lying there, I try to figure out my next move when a soft alarm chimed from a phone on the nightstand. The reminder read, make breakfast. Right? The memories clicked into place. Last night, after a brutal client dinner, Isabella had come back here with me. It was time to make her breakfast. Leo, are you up? What are we having? I was stirring a pot of oatmeal when she padded out of the master bedroom, a silk robe hanging loosely off her shoulders, looking like she'd barely slept. I turned. Morning, Ms. Vance. Just some oatmeal. My new instincts took over as I reflexively checked her out. I had to admit, the woman might be 50 shades of crazy, but she was a 10. Shoulder-length hair, like black silk, perfect features, flawless skin, and a body that belonged on a magazine cover. Even without a speck of makeup, she was stunning. Too bad she was completely unhinged. But no matter what I thought of her sanity, I kept my face a perfect mask of professional respect. For 150 grand a year, if she told me the sun rose in the west, I'd just say, a fascinating perspective, Ms. Vance. After she ate, she left for the office. Since the original Leo had basically babysat a bunch of drunk clients for her the night before, she'd given me the day off. Alone in the apartment, I focused on my problem, how to avoid that deep-sea diving trip. The trigger for my character's demise was a scene where Ethan, the husband, shows up at the office and sees me being overly attentive to Isabella, helping her with her coat, giving her a shoulder rub. He writes it all down in his journal, which she later finds and uses as a hit list. So why was the original Leo so handsy? The poor sap had no idea Isabella was married. No one told him, she never mentioned it, and she didn't wear a ring. He started to get ideas. What if the beautiful, powerful CEO fell for him? He'd have it made. He could kiss the 90-hour workweeks goodbye. As for what Isabella was thinking, I had no earthly idea. What to do? An idea sparked. I can't fight her, but I can run. I'll quit. But it wasn't that simple. As her personal assistant, I knew too much about Vance Holdings. She wouldn't just let me walk. I need an excuse. My mom needs me back home to get married? No, she'd ask who the bride was, and I'd have to invent someone. Too complicated, especially with the story about to hit its climax. After a bit more thought, I landed on something simple and direct. Burnout. I'm just tired. I need a break. At least long enough to get past the whole revenge plot part of the story. I rehearsed it in my head. Ms. Vance, I'm so sorry to bother you, but after last night, I'm feeling really unwell. I was hoping I could take some time off to recover. After practicing a few more times, I decided to go see her that afternoon. Ms. Vance, I'm so sorry to bother you, I said, standing respectfully before her massive desk, my eyes fixed on the floor. But after last night, I'm feeling really unwell. I was hoping I could take some time off to recover. Fine, she said, not even looking up. Her legs, wrapped in sheer black stockings, were propped up on the desk as she furiously typed on her phone. I've cleared my calendar for the next month anyway. Take a month. I'll call you if I need you. Thank you, Ms. Vance. I'll be going then. The moment I left, Isabella started making calls to book her IVF consultation. She was clearing her schedule to focus on preparing her body for the procedure. With no client dinners on the books, she had no use for me, her glorified butler, human shield, and designated driver. After leaving the Vance Holdings Tower, I made a decision. I had to completely avoid Ethan Reed to make sure I never ended up in that damn journal. Okay, Ethan is dying at Mount Sinai downtown, and Isabella is getting her IVF treatment at a clinic in the same area, I thought. So I'll go to Queens. I'll get a room in some cheap motel and lie low. There's no way he can see me being intimate with Isabella if I'm on the other side of the city. Impossible. I hailed an Uber and did just that, checking into a nondescript motel and preparing to wait out the storm. A month flew by, and the story's main event was about to kick off, the regret. The day Isabella was scheduled for her IVF procedure was the same day Ethan's cancer finally decided to finish the job. He'd been lying in his hospital bed for days, and Isabella hadn't visited once. He had tried to tell her how sick he was, but every time he did, Caleb would pop up with his doe-eyed victim act. Does Ethan not like me? I'm sorry, I'm asking for too much. I just wanted a child before I die. And just like that, Isabella would forget all about her husband. As Isabella and Caleb arrived at the fertility clinic, Ethan's condition took a nosedive. He's crashing. Vitals are dropping, a nurse yelled. They rushed him to the ER, but it was too late. He was slipping away fast. Back at the clinic, just as Isabella was about to sign the consent forms, she felt a sudden, sharp pang in her chest, a sense of pure dread. She put the pen down and grabbed her phone, scrolling nervously. Caleb leaned in. Isabella, is something wrong with the forms? She ignored him, pacing the small room with growing agitation. Isabella. She tried again, but her phone rang, an unknown number. Shut up, she snapped. Hello, is this Ms. Isabella Vance? We're calling from Mount Sinai downtown. We're very sorry, but your husband, Ethan Reed, passed away a few moments ago. Ethan wouldn't joke like that, Caleb cooed, sidling up to her, lying about his own life. That's just awful. Isabella shoved him so hard he stumbled backward. Where's he now? She asked, her voice trembling. He's in the ICU. I'm on my way. She stormed out, leaving Caleb behind as he clutched his chest, putting on a show of gasping for air. Isabella, my heart. It hurts so much. I think I'm dying. Where are you going? Once the elevator doors closed, Caleb's pained expression vanished, replaced by a venomous sneer. What the hell is wrong with that idiot? Does she actually believe that loser? God, he's like a ghost you can't get rid of. He plopped down in a nearby chair, arranging his face back into a mask of frail innocence to wait for her return. The elevator felt agonizingly slow, then terrifyingly fast. Isabella stumbled out into the chaotic hum of the ICU floor and made her way to the nurse's station. I'm Isabella Vance, Ethan Reed's wife. Where is he? A nurse led her to a small, curtained-off room. She saw him immediately, his body thin and frail under the white sheet. Ethan, what's wrong? You're okay, right? I'm here now. I'm here. She babbled nonsense, her legs giving out as she collapsed next to the bed. She tried to reach out to touch his face, but she couldn't even lift her arm. Ethan. Suddenly, flashes of their past came rushing back, backpacking through Europe, making promises under a meteor shower, watching the northern lights from a glass igloo. When had it all gone so wrong? Her scrambled brain landed on a single, terrible conclusion. Caleb. It all started when Caleb showed up. It was all his fault. Isabella called a funeral home to take care of Ethan's body. Standing on the sidewalk outside, she felt a terrifying clarity. She pulled out her phone and made a call. "I want you to find out everything you can about Caleb." Just then, Caleb, still waiting at the clinic, called her. She almost declined it, but answered. "Isabella, what happened? You didn't come back." "I was getting scared. Something came up at the office," she said, a cold smile on her lips, her eyes like chips of ice. "I had to go handle it. Don't worry, I'm sending someone from the company to pick you up." She hung up and dialed another number. "Take Caleb." After the calls, she drove in a daze to the home she hadn't been to in years, the house she and Ethan had shared. It took her forever to find the key. Inside, she flipped on a light and threw herself onto the bed, staring at the ceiling. The place was exactly as she remembered, but without him, it felt hollow. Her eyes landed on their wedding photo on the wall, and silent tears began to stream down her face. Lying there, whispering apologies to him, she finally fell asleep. When she woke up, she began sorting through his things, looking for something to bury with him. Is this a journal? In a desk drawer, she found a worn notebook. She opened it. It started when they were dating in college and ended with his last words before he died. She read it over and over, smiling through tears at the early entries, her expression hardening into a mask of cold fury as she read the final pages. "Caleb, you dare to hurt my husband. I will destroy you. And Mark Jennings, just because you were my classmate, you thought you could look down on him. And all of you are going to pay." In the weeks that followed, Isabella became a monster. She had Caleb's limbs and most of his bones professionally broken before he was dumped in the Atlantic. She fired Mark Jennings from his job at Vance Holdings and blacklisted him from every company they did business with, ensuring the man who'd called Ethan a broke gold digger would spend the rest of his life in poverty. She cut off all financial support to her own relatives who had ever mocked Ethan, only stopping when her father intervened, leaving them with just enough to scrape by. She destroyed person after person, finishing her bloody work just before Ethan's funeral. On the day of his service, she had a horrifying realization. Ethan's life had revolved entirely around her. His parents were long gone, and besides the people from her side of the family, there was no one else there. He had made her his entire world, and she had shattered it. The tears started again. After the funeral, she couldn't bear to go back to their house. Numb, she drove to one of her other apartments, went straight to the bedroom, and collapsed. She woke in the middle of the night, disoriented. She fumbled for the call button on the nightstand, a habit from when I was always on call. She waited. Nothing happened. "Leo, where are you?" she shouted, her voice sharp with annoyance. "Get in here." "Oh, right. He's on leave." She found her phone and dialed my number. "Where are you?" "Get to the Sterling Plaza. Now." "Right away, Ms. Vance." I was up, of course, reading another web novel when her call came through. The Life of a Corporate Wage Slave. I replied instantly, getting dressed while booking an Uber. "The grind never stops," I grumbled. Looking at the time, the revenge plot must be over. I swung by the main office to grab a key, then raced to the apartment. "Ms. Vance, you needed something?" I asked, standing dutifully outside her bedroom door. "Water, and put something sweet in it." I tiptoed to the kitchen, warmed a glass of water, stirred in some honey, added a few drops of lemon, and slid in a straw. I carried it to her as carefully as if it were a bomb. She was just sitting there on the edge of the bed, staring into space. I held the glass out for her. She took a few sips and then waved me away. I backed out of the room and stood guard by the door. "Leo," she said suddenly, her voice floating out from the darkness. "Why are you so good to me?" What was this? A test? Was she trying to see if I had ulterior motives? I chose my words carefully. "Because I'm your personal assistant, Ms. Vance." "Oh, will you always be good to me?" Did she take the wrong pills today? For as long as I'm in your employ, I will always do my job to the best of my ability. Do you want to be my assistant forever? Or would you prefer a different job? What was this, a performance review? I'm very satisfied with my current position, Ms. Vance. Do you want to marry me? My face twitched. The whole world had gone insane. This was a script I didn't recognize. "Ms. Vance, you're the CEO of a major corporation. I'm just an assistant. I couldn't possibly presume." "Couldn't presume? So you've thought about it." I bit my tongue, my mind racing. "Ms. Vance, you're brilliant, successful, and one of the most famous women in New York. Anyone would be drawn to that. I'm no exception. Tomorrow morning, you and I are getting married. I risked a glance into the room. Sitting there in the shadows, she looked less like a person and more like some kind of Lovecraftian entity. Her motives were unknowable, her actions devoid of logic, and every man who got close to her wound up dead. There was Ethan, her husband, dead of cancer before he was even cold in his grave. And here she was, planning her next wedding. There was Caleb, her brother, now fish food. He got what he deserved, trying to break up a marriage, but the speed at which she turned on him was terrifying. Then her own relatives, ruined because they'd said a few mean words about her husband. Maybe it was just an excuse to consolidate her power? The more I thought about it, the more I knew I needed to get as far away from her as possible. If I stuck around, I'd be comparing diving notes with Caleb sooner or later. Ms. Vance, I don't think that's appropriate. I'm just a regular guy. I'm not good enough for you. You'll stay home. You won't have to do a thing. I'll take care of you. Were we even having the same conversation? My temples started to throb. Ethan's funeral was just last week. Marrying this fast wasn't just disrespectful. It was practically inviting his ghost to haunt you. I tried to change the subject. Ms. Vance, it's very late. You've had a long day. You should get some rest. How do you know I've had a long day? My face twitched again. It was a figure of speech. Why was she taking everything so literally? Well, Ms. Vance, I noticed you fell asleep in your clothes. You must be exhausted. The company needs you, so you have to take care of yourself. I'll let myself out. Please get some sleep. Sleep in the guest room. Yes, Ms. Vance. Lying in bed, my mind was a whirlwind. What was she thinking? What did she want? Why me? What would I even get out of marrying her? Scorn and ridicule, like Ethan? His story didn't exactly have a happy ending. The door to my room creaked open. I shot upright. Who was that? The front door was locked. It had to be Isabella. What was she doing? A soft lamp clicked on, illuminating my stunned face, and Isabella, standing there in a sheer silk nightgown. My brain short-circuited. Leo, she cooed, a gentle smile on her face as she glided over and sat on the edge of my bed. Am I beautiful? I was frozen, completely useless, as she presented herself to me, sitting down, then sliding into my arms. I grabbed her wandering hands, a sense of deep wrongness washing over me. A woman whose husband and lover just died, throwing herself at her assistant? Did that make any sense? Ms. Vance, this isn't right. What's not right about it? I'm your fiancé. We're just getting to know each other better. She nuzzled against my chest. Leo, I noticed you the day you started at the company. You're kind, helpful, organized. You take such good care of me. A long time ago, I realized you were someone I could depend on. You've always been so professional. You're not greedy or sleazy. Remember that time at the conference when that client tried to drug our drinks and you fought it off long enough to get us to a hospital? She went on, and I almost started sweating. The man she was describing sounded nothing like me. She slowly slipped the silk nightgown off her shoulders and tossed it over my head, covering my face. Look at me, Leo. Your boss. Isn't she beautiful? And that's where I failed. I admit it. I'm a simple man. I'm weak. I wanted her. A goddess was seducing me, promising to take care of me for the rest of my life. Who could resist that? I certainly couldn't. Drained but content, I held her in my arms as we drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I woke first and just watched her sleep beside me. I still didn't get it. What did she see in me? That I was broke? She stirred. Morning, husband. It's our wedding day. We should get ready. As we got out of bed, I saw a smear of red on the white sheets. Isabella, yesterday was my first time, she said with a little smile. You're a lucky man. I was stunned. I had no idea if it was true, but if it was, Ethan and Isabella were married for years and never slept together. The man had the patience of a saint. We had a quick breakfast, and then her driver took us to City Hall. Well, husband, we're legally married. You don't have to be my assistant anymore. Just stay home and relax. I'll support you. Isabella, I think a person needs a job. Otherwise, you lose touch with the world. Whatever you want, you can stay on as my assistant. I'll double your salary. Thank you, Ms. Vance. You can't call me that anymore. It's either honey or Isabella. Isabella, what are we doing now? Going to the office. What else? Shouldn't we, tell our parents? Or friends? Plan a wedding? I'm not close with my parents, and I don't really have any friends. I hate big parties. Besides, she said, squeezing my hand, I have you. That's all I need. We can have your parents visit sometime, if you'd like. Okay. I wasn't about to argue. I knew full well who was in charge in this relationship. I was still just the guy who said, a fascinating perspective, Ms. Vance. The next few months were calm. Isabella bought a new penthouse as our marital home and put in my name. I was floored, accepting a property that would have taken me a lifetime to afford. We were in our honeymoon phase, and it was intense. I told her I couldn't keep up, so she started having expensive vitamin drips and organic meal plans delivered daily. Honey, I'm pregnant, she told me one evening, a blush on her cheeks. Really? That's fantastic. I put on my best happy husband face. Only I knew if it was real. One day, we were out shopping when a car suddenly swerved, heading straight for us. I grabbed Isabella and leaped out of the way, but the fender still clipped me. Now, are you okay? Honey, you can't be hurt, she cried, calling an ambulance. The checkup revealed nothing more than a few scrapes, but Isabella insisted I stay in the hospital for observation. I lay in bed while she took calls in the hallway, her voice a low murmur. Leo had an accident. Find out what happened. How's the company? Handle it. She came back in and fussed over me, pouring water, peeling fruit. It was almost embarrassing. After 2 days, I went home, and she put me on indefinite leave to recover. I was happy for the break, spending my days cooking for her, bringing her lunch, and wandering the city streets in the afternoon. So this is what it's like to be a kept man, I mused. I lived like that for a few months. During the holidays, I went home, showered my parents with gifts, bought them a new house, and left them with more money than they'd ever seen. I told them I'd gotten a big promotion. They and all my relatives gushed about how successful I'd become. Time passed quickly. Isabella's due date arrived, and she checked into the hospital. I stayed by her side, a knot of genuine worry in my stomach. If something happened to her, my gravy train was over. But she was fine. The delivery was smooth, and soon we had a healthy baby girl. Honey, you should name her, Isabella said, exhausted but happy. How about Maya? Maya. It's beautiful. Our daughter's name is Maya. A night nurse took Maya to the nursery, and I sat by Isabella's bed, just watching her. We have a child, Leo, she whispered. Looking at her, I feel so happy. We're going to be happy like this forever, right? Of course we are. Life with Maya was peaceful. After Isabella recovered, she went back to work, and I settled into my role as a stay-at-home dad. But even in the calm, I couldn't stop thinking about the web series that started all of this. About the fictional Isabella, Ethan, and Caleb. The woman in the book and the woman I was married to seemed so different. Why? I started digging. I went to the old house she'd shared with Ethan. I went to the Sterling Plaza, the apartment where our relationship started. I visited her other properties. Under the bed in the guest room at the Sterling Plaza, I found it. A small, folded piece of old paper. A talisman. What the hell was this? I memorized its strange, intricate symbols and snapped a picture with my phone. I'll look into it later. Right now, I had to get home and make dinner. When I got back, Isabella was already there. We ate, played with our daughter, and got ready for bed, just like any other night. Curled up against me in the dark, she spoke. Honey, I know you've been looking into things. You can stop. I'll tell you everything. I didn't say anything, just held her a little tighter. What you found, she said, her voice steady, is a secret of the Vance family. We call it the Covenant. It's a kind of ritual. It transfers any misfortune, any loss, personal or financial, from the Vance family to the person they're married to. You know about Ethan and Caleb? That's what happened to them. You and I, honey. You're bound to me now, to my family. I know you've never fully trusted me, that you've thought about leaving. But even if you did, it wouldn't break the covenant. We're legally married. We have a child together. Isn't Maya the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? She's your daughter, Leo. You'd do anything to protect her, wouldn't you? And I'm good to you, aren't I? I give you everything you want. If you left me, could you ever find another wife like me? I'm sorry I kept it from you. I was afraid you wouldn't understand. I was wrong. Tell me what you want as an apology. Anything I can do, I'll do it. I looked at the beautiful woman in my arms, my heart of stone in my chest. So that was it. The hidden truth of that crazy story. Seeing my silence, she snuggled closer. Can we just stay like this forever, honey? A random question popped into my head. I don't think you've ever mentioned your mother. Her expression clouded. A long time ago, The company was in serious trouble. My mother, she passed away. Is that what's going to happen to me? Like Ethan and your mother? I'm so sorry, she whispered. You can hit me if you want. Don't be ridiculous. The karma would probably come back on me. I wouldn't dare touch you. We haven't in a while, she purred, pressing against me. Let me make it up to you. After learning the secret, I scrambled to find a way out. I visited occult shops, spiritualists, anyone who might know how to break a curse. Isabella said no one ever had, but I couldn't give up. It was useless. I started spending money like there was no tomorrow. I figured if I could die at any moment, I might as well enjoy it. I deserved it. It was my life on the line that was keeping her empire afloat. Life went on. I started to give in to the apathy. Isabella got pregnant again. I had to admit, putting aside the whole soul-leeching family curse, she was a perfect wife. The kind of woman I could only have dreamed of before I woke up in this story. How did she ever pick me? Maybe this was it. Maybe this was my life now. It was a better life than almost anyone on the planet had. What more could I ask for? The world of a novel, it turned out, was just as messy and complicated as the real one. Isabella gave birth to a boy. We named him Ryan. Maya and Ryan grew up, and nothing catastrophic happened. I got sick a few times, had a few accidents. One was a pretty bad fall that broke my leg. Isabella cried for days. I just shrugged it off and increased my spending. Our kids went off to school. We always told them to make friends, to date, but above all, to respect themselves. As they grew into teenagers, they brought home a string of boyfriends and girlfriends. Each new relationship was a new shield, a new person to absorb the blows meant for us, diluting the pressure on me. Sometimes I'd look in the mirror and think, like mother, like son-in-law. I had become just like her, using other people to shield myself from harm. Maybe it's because I was a beneficiary now. The view is different from the top. But this feeling, this absolute certainty that I would always be safe, happy, and rich, it was an addiction. I couldn't imagine going back to being some unlucky schmuck without a covenant to protect me. What did I change? I used to be the guy who just wanted to run away from the plot. But if I was honest, I never really wanted to leave. The moment I saw that six-figure salary, some part of me had already decided to stay, no matter the risk. You don't turn down that kind of money just because it's dangerous. One evening, Ryan brought a new girlfriend home for dinner. I played the part of the perfect father-in-law, cooking an elaborate meal and giving the girl a generous cash gift and a card, as if I could buy off my own conscience. I watched Isabella sit with her, chatting warmly, before taking the diamond bracelet from her own wrist and fastening it onto the girl's. The girl was stunned, trying to refuse, but Isabella was gently insistent. Would they be the main characters of a new story? Would this girl end up like Ethan or like Caleb? I just watched them, a silent observer to the start of a new chapter. The road ahead was still very long.